I think we might make a start. Welcome, everyone. My name is Katarina Kasia, and I am Senior Lecturer in the Department of Modern Languages at the University of Birmingham. And I'm one of the co-organizers of today's event. And our special guest, so to say, is Aysun Bademsoy. It's lovely to have you, Aysun. It's wonderful as well to see that there are so many people who are gathering in this virtual space today, because I know that we are in the middle of a global pandemic, and a lot of us are extremely tired of Zoom meetings and events. But I had a quick look at the list of participants, and it really looks wonderful. We have a very interesting and international audience today. And I was delighted to see that there are some leading experts on Aysun's work as well, and German film, more broadly speaking. For example, Gözde Mayboru from the University of Leicester is here today. Hello, Gözde. And I would like to say that this is really an event that is not just about experts. We are really happy to hear from everyone, and you don't need to know anything about German film or about this particular director or about the German political landscape. We are looking forward to just sharing this with you and hearing your comments and questions. Before I say a few words about Aysun Bademsoy and her work, I'd like to quickly thank the research groups and funding bodies who've made this event possible. The first to mention this context is the European Research Council, because I am currently PI on a project that is called Urban Terrorism in Europe, Remembering, Imagining and Anticipating Violence. So we're looking at contemporary political violence in Germany, in Spain, in France, and in the UK, trying to understand when this term terrorism is used in the first place. When are we thinking of political violence as terrorism, and what is known as political violence in this context? Then there is the Institute for German and European Studies at the University of Birmingham that's generously funded this event, and we have Klaus Richter here today, who's the head of the IGES. So thanks, Klaus. And then finally, I'd like to mention the Graduate Center for Europe. And I'm pleased that Mariana Karakulaki agreed to briefly introduce the center and its interesting work here at Birmingham. So before saying a bit more, I'll pass on to Mariana.
Hi, everyone. Today I'm representing the Graduate Center of Europe, which is an interdisciplinary center based at the University of Birmingham within three colleges: the College of Social Sciences, the College of Arts and Law, and the College of Life and Environmental Sciences. So our work for the center is primarily consisted of graduate students, and our work is to have events and research, exchange research ideas, and discuss our work on Europe. I am a journalist by profession and a communications manager at the Diversity Media Institute in London. And I'm also a PhD researcher at the University of Birmingham, looking at refugee experiences of violence. Before passing back to Katharina, I would like to mention that if you have seen Aysun's film, you might think that terrorism is only, far-right terrorism is embedded only in the German society, but this is not true. It's very much embedded in every society, and it's borderless. You can find it everywhere. And coming from Greece, we have experience of the recent Golden Dawn trial, which is the biggest political trial possible in Europe after Nuremberg, as some media have called it. So you can see that the far right is here to stay, and even after trials, what it has left behind is very much embedded, and you can see it in the society. And I think we will see some of these conversations will come out of the discussions that will follow. So I will pass back to Katharina to introduce Aysun and her film.
Thanks, Mariana. Yeah, I thought for those of you who are not familiar with Aysun's work, it might be helpful to just have a bit of context. So she was born in Turkey in 1960 and moved to Germany when she was really young with her family. And in the 1980s, she studied journalism and theatre studies at the Freie Universität Berlin, which I imagine must have been a very interesting time in Berlin in the 1980s. And then she actually made her first documentary film in 1989, but she's also worked as a film editor, as an actor. She's done a lot of interesting things, this woman. She's made more than 10 documentaries, and I found it quite hard to sort of, in this brief context, focus on some because they would all deserve to be discussed in some more detail. I thought I'd just sort of mention two themes in Aysun Bademsoy's work that I think are very relevant for today's film as well and for our discussion. There is a clear and really fascinating focus on the lives of German Turkish women and girls. And that's also at least partly drawing on your own experience, I guess, Aysun. And there's two wonderful films focusing on a Turkish women's football team in Berlin-Kreuzberg that I thought I could mention in this context. There is the film Mädchen am Ball from 1995, Girls on the Pitch, and then a follow-up documentary from 1997, Nach dem Spiel, After the Game. But there's also a broader focus in Aysun's work on the experiences of people in Germany who are called with migration background. That's the German way to refer to them. One example is the 2004 documentary German Cops. That's another fascinating film, which focuses on members of the Berlin police force, but people who have Turkish roots, Yugoslav roots, and sort of, again, shows how complex those identities are, those dynamics of living together in Berlin in this particular context. And of course, in many ways, the film traces, Spuren, that we will discuss today, draws on all of that rich experience and work that you have done in the past and opens up new chapters as well. I thought I'm not going to say a lot about the film because you will all have a lot to say, and we're looking forward to hearing that. I just thought I'd make a quick few notes on housekeeping before we start. You will have noticed that we're recording this meeting. This is just to make it available to people who are interested in this topic and who can't be here today. And then you can see the panelists up there, and we will use our privileged positions as co-hosts in this webinar to kick this Q&A off with one or two questions. And then we would really invite you to see this as an opportunity to share your comments and questions. And you can do that using the Q&A function that you see on your screen. So if you post something there, then it will hopefully be picked up either by me or by Franziska, and we read it out, and then Aysun can respond and engage with it. And then I also thought I mentioned that we will try to finish on time. I'm sure there is a lot that we can discuss, but equally, we're trying to stick within the hour and maybe then can continue discussions elsewhere and in different platforms. So I think that's all that I wanted to say on housekeeping, which means that I will now use my right as host to ask a first question about this fascinating documentary, Aysun. I guess as a researcher who works a lot with interviews, so I'm interviewing survivors of terrorist attacks and I'm interviewing victims, families, I know that it can be very difficult for them to speak about that, especially in public. And it is a very painful experience. And I guess that is even more so the case when it comes to the NSU crimes, because people didn't believe these families, that they were treated like suspects. So I found it amazing that you managed to get them on screen, to gain them for this project. So could you tell us a bit more about how you chose the people who were interviewed for the film and how you build a relationship of trust with them?
It's in the beginning of the court processing in Munich. It was it was the first time I'm going to Munich, and for me was really big shock if it's coming out that they was Nazis. They murdered there. And in between 2012, 2007, the series of murders, it was really hard for me to believe there is inside the families the murders. And if I heard it all the time, between 6-7 years along, if there was so normal family fathers, so it was for me unbelievable. They are criminal, or they are in drugs, I don't know, money wash, black wash, or I don't know what they mean in English, but it was, I can't believe there are like criminal persons, because there are so normal people, so normal family structure they live. So if it's coming out there are Nazis, it was for me so really big shocked. So for me was really important to see how they are managed that really hard murdered, serious murdered, how they will manage this in Germany. It was for me really, so the first thing in my head was, I have to look, I have to see what's going on in courts. And so I started to go there, and it was the first time I know the lawyer of one of the family, and I told her I will come to Munich, and if she can help me to understand what's going on and so on. I started with her to talk with her and get the contact. The first time I get the contact with the daughter of the first victim, Semya Shimshek. And it was really great because I see her in the in the newspaper or in television. She and Gamze Kubashek, the daughter of Mehmet Kubashek, she was always in TV or in interviews, and they are so strong women. I think I can't believe if that same was by me and my family, I think I can talk like her. And it was really, I was so, I think they are so interesting people. I would like to hear, hear their position or look what's going on. And so, and I started, and after 4.5 years in the process, I go always there to Munich. And the first time, if I'm going there, I don't know what will be point of my film. What will I do there? What kind of film will I make? And it was a really a question for myself. So I was, the first time it was so emotional, so depressed for me to see the families there. And the lawyers told to me, okay, if you know what you want to do, so you can write us an expose, and we talk with the families. And but I go so many weeks there, and was in the courts in Munich, and I don't know what is it was so really new world for me. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what's going on. It is for people, they are not so involved in this world. It is really difficult to understand why they are so cold in the room, and nobody heard the people of victims. They are always, if they want to talk, they always say, okay, it's enough, it's not emotional, but please not emotional things, we don't like this, and so on. And I was always so irritations of them. And so it was a long way I'm going. I'm working on this film. I think about it 4 years long, and the ending of the process, I think, okay, I understand this is not the room they can talk. Nobody heard them, and it was so there was always they have to be quiet. So for me, it's so really important to hear what's going on for the people, for the families, how you can survive like this kind of really hard situation. They lost the husband or the father or the brother, yeah. And so I always the end of my research, this was so I think 4.5 years after I started, and I go to the places where are murdered and look what is going here on. So I see the families, but I don't talk with them because the lawyers told I don't have to talk with them. That is really important. They don't like to talk with all people or journalists or all documentary filmmakers. All people want to talk with them, but it is always the same way they want to talk. So how was it? And yeah, okay, how it's really hard, but what you think about the court, what's going on at the end, and so. And I think I see all the emotions by them, and so I started again after the 4 years. After 4.5 years, I started to have the contact with the lawyer of the families and told them, okay, I know I will make a film only about the families. I don't like to see the Nazis. I don't like to talk with them. I don't want to understand them. It's not important for me. So I start and I the talk about or arrangement. It was so okay if the process ending, you can't talk with them. So it's ended. I asked all families, and so it was really interesting for me for say, okay, it's okay to talk with us. So it was a really, really long process to come with the person or family together and have and I think really important was for them, I speak Turkish, and for their wives, they talk not so good German. For them, that was really important to talk with me in Turkish, and I told them what kind of films I make, and I give my films, some of them. And so we start to, it's a really long time. I was always by them and look how they live, how they want to talk, where is the place they want to talk about the, murdered of the brother or of the husband. And so I have I think I have half year, I try to understand what kind of places or what kind of emotion atmosphere they want to have to talk. And I know so much. I read always about the things what they is going on with them, and so I know when I'm learned them, I know so much about the families. So I try to have a way to coming to near of them. And for me was so important, this is their film. This is a film for them and not for other people and so on. It's not, but it was really important for me too, because I think if my father or my brother was like this as murdered, so how I will talk about it. So I think always in me, emotional, how can I talk about it? And so it was a really, sensitive try to coming near and near and near.
Okay, thank you so much for this. I think we have a question in the chat that connects really well to that issue of building trust with the people you have interviewed. Josephine Gaff asks, I try to summarize it a little, what your personal background as a Turkish woman who speaks German, how that kind of played into building trust with the families, and how your own background as a bilingual woman has helped to make this topic accessible for a German audience.
I think the very important is for me, I'm coming from Turkey. I was a really small or a child. And so I grew up in Germany. So the very important place for me is Germany, but half of me is always in Turkey too. So I understand. So this is other form of to be together, like by Elif Kubashek, if she is in a women's group and they make something to, they make a shashlik, and it was really intimate, and so it was great for me to be there. And if they work, and it was this was really important for me, because before we talking with her daughter together from Elif, and she sit like really so controlled of herself, so she can't talk with her daughter together about their own emotional things, because they don't like to show the daughter she is she's really I don't know, she's not coming over this situation that to lost her husband. And so I think it was really important to find a place with her alone, and find a place she can talk, because it is a good atmosphere for her to open her heart for us. And it was so I think she needs this form of the intimacy with me to talk about this. And it was 15 years ago what kind of this murdered. And so it was really important for me to find this place, to have this atmosphere to talking with her. And so all people has other places. So it was Osman Taşköprü from Hamburg. He lost his brother. The sister, I would like to talk with the sister too, Aysun Taşköprü. She's really, really interesting person. I know her, and I read so many really good letters they write to the political persons, and so, but it's not possible because she is so depressive, and she is so illness, so she can't talk with me about this. I think she will always crying, or I don't know, but she don't like. But Osman I asked Osman, which kind of place is for you a place where you are, you remember your brother, or you are going with him, or what is the place, what's you are together with your brother, and so on. And he told me like this one or there, and so, and I was in a park, and I think it's so big and so not so it's not an atmosphere of intimacy. So I think, okay, it's better to be in the really darkness of Spielothek, I don't know, game and football club, yes. and so all people has a place where they remember of the family person they are murdered. And so I look for always to find this and give the time to think about it. What they like. It was really important. Is it a place they like to talk about? Husband or brother or father, and all people has other place. So cemetery in Turkey, it was really interesting to hear Simia, the daughter, if she told when she goes to the place, and her son say, "What's you're talking with the sand, or there's nothing there," and she can't. It was hard for her to talk to the son. It's important for her to be there. It's a really important place for her. And so I ask all, and I see, and I was, before I started to make a film, I was 1 week there in Turkey by them, and I look all places, or it's garden, or the house they live, or the house they built, their parents, they was built before 15 years ago and plan to go back. And so I always look for places they can talk with me.
Great, thank you. I think this intimacy is something that one can really feel when watching the film.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a question here from Fatma, which relates to the process of choosing interviewees again.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts by thanking you for your work and focusing not on the perpetrators for a change, but actually on the families. But of course, there's quite a few families, and there were quite a lot of victims, including a Greek victim, and of course a German policewoman as well. So Fatma was wondering whether you chose to sort of focus on the migrant victims from Turkey, or whether it is more that they were the ones who chose to speak to you and approached everyone.
Yeah, I tried to contact the family of the Greece victim, and I talked with the lawyer of them, and he's told me the first time, yeah, okay, maybe you can get the contact, but after, and if the process ending like this, how they ended, so many people don't like to talk any, but the brother of Semia Shimshik, he was, I talked with him a long time, and he say, okay, maybe he talk with me if I started to make a film. And after this really hard and misunderstand why they don't like this end of this. So he told to me, I don't talk, I can't, because we talk 6, 7, 8 years long about what is going on, and they don't hear us, and so it's enough for us. And like this was so many families. And the German, I don't know, I don't think about the German to contact that, because it was the other kind of murdered, because she is a police woman. And I heard about the Untersuchungsausschuss. It was, I don't know what the meaning
investigation.
Of investigation, yeah. And I know there was other kind of including, because she's working in Erfurt, is near where they are coming, the Nazis, and the uncle is is a German cop, and he is a really important person for her, and she was with the Nazis in contact before she's going to police. And so it was the other kind of murder, like, because they've stolen them the guns, they stolen their they murdered not only her, they tried to murder the other colleague or police colleague of her. And so it was other, yeah, I think it was not so clear. It is against migration, or is it against internal affair thing? So I don't understand. And it was all the protests with the Nazis and what they do 8 years long. It was enough for me to understand that. So I don't try to understand this too. Okay, it was for me. Yeah, I think I don't never think about the murdering of Michelle. Yeah. And so for me was really important to see why they go around the German and really difficult places, Hamburg, Munich, Nuremberg, Kassel. It is so around German, and murdered people, they don't know them. They are never is a contact with them. So it was absurd for me to understand this. And so I try to understand this kind, and this is not the first time the Nazis murdered or make a attack of foreigners and so on. It was, I know this, I was in other places too, and know what they do all the years since I'm in Germany. So it's not really new, but this is new. They don't let some Spuren, also
traces.
Yeah, and now the police don't think about that was Nazis, and this is a really absurd thing. Okay, this was a really new kind of murder of the Nazis. So it was, yeah, for me it was enough to understand this contradiction, and they don't work good, the policemen and criminal police don't work clear, and they don't think about this was Nazis. And so it was all think it was not really not unhappy things.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. You just mentioned the different cities in which the murders took place, and we have a question by Gösta, which also refers to this topic of location and spaces or places. And she wants to know a little more about how you deal with location. And she mentions that very often at the actual crime scene, there are no traces of the crime, or we have seen, for example, the trees, but no big monument or nothing that really reminds the passerby that this was a crime scene. And she argues that this is actually a manifestation of absence, so also of absence of the human being that has been killed there. So perhaps you could tell us a little more about how you decided to direct these scenes that focus on the locations.
The first time if I start to research for the film, I go the first and the places where I murdered, and I find the places. It was a normal street. I don't like in Nuremberg. It was a really small shop of ich weiß nicht, was ist Änderungsschneiderei?
Tailors.
Yeah, it's a really small shop, and it is so I have to ask so many people the street. Nobody knows, because it's not a really big street, or it's not in centrum and so on. And all places of the murdered are so absurd for me, and so I look for the place, and I can't understand how they can be in the it's normal days. It's not darkness, or they don't go and wait of them, or so they go in and murdered. in the normal day. I think so many things are 1 o'clock and midday or so on. It was so really absurd that can be like this murdered and nobody see it or hear it. And as one of them other place is against the school. The kids was in the school in this time. They murdered was there and murdered Yashar. So it was often so. I can understand that can be, and nobody see them or they don't get them and so on. It was so unbelievable. And so I try to go this place and understand how can be in the normal life of us and the place, it's normal places in our life. So it's it's really hard to understand this. And so I try to see the places, or I was in the on the day when they are murdered, they have a ceremony always in Hamburg and in Dortmund. And so I was there on the day and look what is with the families, what is with the community, or what is the social around of them, coming there people, and are there from the how kind of people is coming there on days when they are murdered. So I look for I think I look for how is the German human how they react of them. And some of them places it was not really good for us if we are working there. Some Nazis come there and say, I'm very happy that he is dead, and so on. It was always the feeling of the Nazis, they are around us now. They are not away. They are really I know it's absurd here in Germany. The AfD, they are really popular, and so many people they don't say I would like to say it. They say it's okay to say it. We don't like to have here foreigners, or we don't. We are the Merkel is going wrong with her political and so on. They talk it. It's so normal. They are so normal in the middle of the society of us, and it's something. Some words are normal for 10 or 15 years. It was not possible to say like this things.
Mm-hmm.
It is so. I for me, it's really a shock, because I think Germany has so hard history with the Nazi time. They don't have like this kind of situation. They don't have this. They can't, because they are victims. And so I don't understand now, and it's not new. It's like 10 years. It's going more and more normal than the Nazis talking about their thinking, and the white racism is really important for them, and so I don't understand all this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We have another question from a film scholar, similar to Gazda, being interested in your aesthetic choices and style. And I'm probably not going to summarize that accurately, Nina. So sorry about that in advance. It's a long and rich question. But essentially, what I think we can pick up here is that Nina is interested in the ways in which you have filmed the families and she says there's sort of gentle frames, and the way in which the frame shifts and calmly drifts is sort of creating this intimate atmosphere that you were describing. And she's wondering whether that was a deliberate decision or that more like an instinctive thing. And she also adds, that's interesting, that you didn't edit out interruptions and awkward moments. You know, I remember there was a phone ringing or sometimes some nervous laughter. And again, that is a very interesting choice. So yeah, she's trying to understand that, also how it is related to trauma maybe, or to yeah, the emotions that you want to show. So maybe you could talk a bit about those aesthetic choices.
Maybe she has to see other films of me, then she understands that this is a style of my work. I always for me it's really important to have room for the people where I portray, and so like the girls suckers, they always, I have the room of them and look for that to hear, and yeah, gives them the time to talk about things about they want to talk about it. And for me it's really important to have time and hear the people, and I think I have I like that to hear people to talk about what kind of life they have, or if it's a tragical thing, or what is that going on. And for me it's really important to feel and have the room for this kind of I think it's really, really important for me. I always, on my films, they are like this, but this was not for me, this kind of film. It was really important to have a really, really sensitive going on the families and look for them and have a time and see what they for them they are they are important for the imagine to their husbands or father or brothers. So there's a room for them, and we feel how kind of good people there must be. There, what kind of love there are for them now too, and like trees, they feel and say, "This is my husband." He is in Turkey, and other with Ali Toy, he has so many trees for Ender Şimşek, and he showed me the fruit of them, and he say, "How I hope his soul will be happy to know we don't forget him," and so on. And I think it's really, really important in this film to have to see how the people work with the Verlust. Was ist Verlust?
The loss.
Yeah, for their loss. Sometimes I don't understand. my brain is not working, but yeah, for their lost. This is so really important for me to have this room, to bring this room, and now there are so good people, and yeah, I don't understand why they are dead, why they are murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for this. We've actually got another question about the way you depict the families. And you said in the beginning of the event that these are really strong women and strong mothers, strong sisters. And Joseph Trist asked about how you would put your own film within larger trends in the media or culture or the arts on how to deal with people with migration backgrounds. So he says that there used to be the idea of a Betroffenheitsliteratur or Betroffenheitsfilm, so consternation, we would probably say in English, and that these people actually also have power and that they also have agency. So how do you balance this out in your own movies?
Yeah, I think it's really important to know there are victims, but there is really important to know how they try to live with that situation and how they survive their really hard situation. And for me, it was really interesting. I was the first time I met Elif Kubashek. That was of the start of the court in Munich. She was here with her lawyer I think that was a really big room, and it was they want to talk about it, what going with the families, like between the murdered and between the court starts. And she is the first time she was there, and she told it was a really big room. I think maybe it was like 80 or 100 people sit down there, and we all will want to know how is it to live with this kind of to have lost her husband, and what going on with Nazis, and what kind of court processing she wait to what kind of end of this court she means that will be, and so on. And she tried to talk, and she told first in the start, she told in the public, I never talk in the public like this today, and it can be that I can't talk. It can be, I don't know, but I would like to try. And she start and talk, I think 1 hour, and all people in the room was quiet. All people are so shocked what's going on with these families. And this was the first time I heard it really from her. What kind of isolation, or make them to criminal persons, and going what she is talking in my film too. They go in the place in Turkey and look around her family, and German cops. The Turkish people believe really much in German cops. They are really really good people. They work really good, and so. And if German cops coming to Turkey in a really small place, all people think, okay, some is going on. Some they have a reason. They come so far to look what's going with this family. So they make so many bad things with the families. We can't believe, and it was so hard. And so I saw Elif Kubashek there the first time before the courts in Munich starts. And I was so surprised, and I think, wow, she's so powerful, and she's a normal woman. She's not, I don't know, she's not talking always in the public things or so on. And she's so good. I was so, it was great for me to see her powerful, because she don't like to, she don't want, they all don't want, we forget that what's going on with the families. And it was so important for all. So I think it was really interesting to see that. But it's not all families like this. It was, I think maybe a family in Munich, she is today illness too. She is really depressive. She can't talk, and if she talks so diffuse things. She told me, I know there are there are other people. They are not the Nazis. They murdered my husband. And I say, hey, and sorry, the court is going on between 3 or 4 years. You can't talk like this. She say, no, I don't believe it. And so all people, some families have really, really problems to live with them. And they are today depressive too, or they can't forget. They're not, somebody of them, some of the families don't coming to protest too. They always, the lawyer coming there and try to make the protest for them. But not all families like Semir Şimşek or family Şimşek or Kubashek or Taşköprü or the family of Kassel, Yozgat. And some 4 or 5 families try to always to going in the public and say what's going on with them. But so many families don't talk. So you have to, accept you can't talk with all. But what going with the families on with policemen and isolation and social distance of the Turkish or German society, it's always the same. They talk for all. I think they talk about what's going on for all other families too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We've got the problem now, Aysun, that there's a lot of wonderful questions, but not a lot of time. So I apologize in advance if we don't manage to cover all the points and questions raised, but we will try, and I'm happy to stay a little bit longer. And hope that there won't be an angry toddler appearing in the background. I thought maybe I mention a comment from Margaret because it relates to a lot of the things that you mentioned, Aysun. So Margaret just wanted to thank you and said that we can really feel that importance of place. It's very powerful in this film. And she also said the planting of trees was very moving, that we sort of see at the beginning, and we see also how you can harvest from these trees, and then we see that again in Turkey at a later stage. So that's really showing an immense dignity and hope in the families. And then I thought maybe I'd bring in a question raised by Ellen, which is also really interesting, and that is how the film was received in Germany, and whether you got any responses from the police, for example, or how the public responded to it.
It was a start in a cinema in February, I think, yes, beginning of February, and so we started, and I have really, really good screenings of in many places like Hamburg, and all places, the families, they was there, and it was, for me, it was really great to see the film with the families because they don't see it before. And I hope they like it, or the lawyer, they don't know what kind of film I make. And there was there too in Frankfurt, Seda Basa Yildiz, the lawyer of family Şimşek, or in Munich, the lawyer of the family from Taşköprü. All people there was there, and it was really, really good. Good screening for me. It was really good because the last of them, I think, it starts and then comes a shutdown, and so we stay in the middle of the film start, and it was all place. It was a good screening. I think it was good, but it's like all places with culture, they close the cinemas and so on. So, and the last one, it was for 1 month. I saw it's the first time with the family in Dortmund with Gamze and Elif Kubashek. They don't see it before, and I'm not so. I was so really so. I hope it will go good because I don't know. Gamze is not so easy, and Elif like this too, and so. And I was the first time I saw it with them, and I came a little bit too late, and Gamze and Elif sit, and between there is a friend of her, and she stand up and say, "Oh, sit down here," and I sit between the zwei of both, and it was so. Oh, I hope it will be good. I hope, because I know Gamze is not so. I don't know. She's not so easy to like it or not like it, yeah. And so, and it was really nice to after the and they will see it together, and I see Elif is crying that's most time, and Gamze was really so she is looking, I think, I don't know if she laughs, sometimes she laughs if the handy the cell rings and her mother goes out and comes in, and so she finds it really good, I think. Or if they are in the room with in the club of them, and the old woman comes and whispering through like this, and it is only if we like to eat something sweet, and she laughed that because she heard it, that what she's told. And so she laughs like in these places too, but most times she was really still. And after the film we go to discussion in another place, and she told me most time if she know something is about her father or about the murder, she can sleep 2-3 days before, and after she sleeps sometimes a week she can't sleep because she is so depressive and so on. And it was the first time she is really happy to see the film give a picture of her father, how he is. He is a really good father and good husband, and he is she was so happy about it, and it was really good for me. And it is for me it's not so important or if they public find it good, or the newspaper find it good, or journalism write really nice about it. For me was this time it was very, very important that the families like this film. That was really important, and I was so happy that all families are happy I make this film and give them the chance to speak.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Katharina, Aysun, do you want to take another question, or are we running out of time?
Yeah, I don't know how you feel, Aysun, whether you are happy to take one more question. We definitely have still a few in the chat.
One question, please. Maybe we talk at the other time again, but also on the Zoom to talk and don't have reaction of persons or students. It's hard to work.
It's true. So maybe we just finish with one question. There's quite a few that are really interesting. Yeah, and everything that you said was fascinating. We have a few comments here. There's one, and Karen has been waiting long and patiently, so I might just pick that up. And she says there is obviously also in your previous work you sort of showed the German police, and you just mentioned that that at least some of the Turkish people have a lot of faith in German cops. But then Karen asked whether you think that Turkish policemen would have behaved or investigated a murder like this differently?
I don't know. I think you know, if this was so hard to say something about it, because I don't know. They got the information, and they really there are all other places. They work alone, the police departments. They don't have contact with together. So it's so really hard to know what kind of other work they can be, because some of them, they talk about or think about it. Maybe it is Nazis, but nobody is going. They say, okay, we have looking for this kind, but it is not that, because they write a letter after the attack, but they don't understand this guys, that group of Nazis, NSU, they don't do that. They can't imagine. They don't have make signs. We was it, and so it was so. I don't know if there, maybe some of them will think about it, and they know some Nazis there are, and police too, Nazis. You know, we heard it more and more, how kind of racism there are in the institutions, always, not only in policemen, or they are in the forces, and it's all between all groups there are Nazis in. So I don't know. Some of them think about it. If I make the film German Cops, we talk about it, but they don't talk in front of the television or a camera. They know if they talk about it, they will be outsider. So you hear it, you know it, and my son, he is. I'm so happy he is going to study now. But before, he wanted to go to be a cop. And if I heard it, I'd say, oh, please not. There are so many racism in this institution. I don't like to see him in this kind of world of, I think it's really, really hard to have a position of them, against them, and so on. I think, you know, in all places are Nazis, but we don't know how we have to manage this kind of political situation. And it will be in the next years, I think we have long work with them to find a way how we come near of them, and how it will be. I think not only that, there's like Corona now, like the same. The demonstration of Corona against people or groups, they are full of Nazis, and they are full of old German structure like people, and so on. This is it's not good time for to think good of this. I think it will be harder and harder the next time. I hope we find a way, and we find speak about it.
Yeah.
This is, yes.
Thank you for that, Aysun. There are some more really interesting questions, including 2 excellent questions from my own PhD students, so I feel particularly bad about not mentioning them. But there's also just a lot of praise for your work in this chat, and I'd just really like to add to that I'm really, really happy that you joined us today, and shared some of your thoughts, some of your work. It's very inspiring, and it's wonderful to be able to discuss it.
Thank you very much.
In person, and then I'd like to thank all the panelists tonight as well. Mariana, Franziska, and Tom for the translations, which came quick and involved Kleinschneiderei, which I really so I would just say apologies to those people whose questions and comments weren't raised, and thank you so much to everyone who participated tonight and made this very special. We will share the recording soon. So I will stop recording now.
Thank you very much.